I failed as a dad the other day. At least that's what it felt like. You see, my son snapped me out of a moment when I realized that I wasn't living out the version of success that I had for myself as a parent. So I'll come back to that. See, I've always been fascinated with the idea of success. You know, we may have different definitions of it, but why are some people successful when other people aren't, right? Why do some people achieve massive things in life while others, maybe with more potential, better situations, better circumstances, fall short? I've spent the better part of my career trying to answer that, and I think we can answer it in part today by looking at two things. Now, the first one, I think it's pretty easy to agree upon. I think we can all agree right away that success in anything is not a one-time event. That rather success or failure in any endeavor is the compounding effect of the daily decisions we make, leading us one step closer to or further from our version of success. Like, in short, there's no magic pill, right? There's no shortcuts. You have to show up and do the work, no matter what your version of success looks like. And yet, if it's that easy, why don't more people do the decisions? Why don't more people do the things that they need to do to see success? And how do we, in the moment, make the right decisions that lead us to our version of success? That's what we're going to answer. So you see my son Jonah, he's almost 4. He'd asked me to play Legos. So I'm sitting on the floor, Legos in hand. He's telling me about this farm truck, spaceship, race car thing he's building. And in the moment, I'm doing the right activity. I'm building Legos. But I wasn't present. Legos in one hand, my phone in the other. I'm constantly scrolling. And it wasn't until he looked me in the eye and he said, "Dad, will you put your phone away?" that I snapped. I snapped back to the present moment, because in that moment, I realized I wasn't living out my definition of success as a parent. You see, part of my definition for success for myself is to be present. It's to be there, not just to be there, but to be there, right? And in that moment, I wasn't connected to that version of success. I was disconnected. If I had been connected, I would have put the phone down. I would have savored the moment. And it was just one moment, right? But that one moment, compounded, would have led me to a place very far from my version of success. Now, if I were to ask you guys the same question, because I think we can all relate to that moment, if I were to ask you, are you on track right now to your version of success? I think most of us would answer, yes. I feel like I'm working hard. But if we did the exact same thing, if we looked at every single decision you made over the last month, we tallied them out, we went one by one, and I asked you, did that decision lead you one step closer to or further from your version of success? What would we find? I think most of us know the answer. We'd be surprised at what we would find. See, it's so easy, right? We become so focused on the fires right in front of us that we lose sight of what we're actually working towards. The reality of the moment, we're so reactive to it that we stop doing the things with the long term in mind. We don't slow down to actually think if the decisions we're making right now are leading us closer to or further from our version of success. And so because of that, most of us are living our lives on autopilot. We're unconscious, we're disconnected, we're living our lives on autopilot. We've become used to the decisions we make, and we just kind of accept it. And so what's interesting is that when we live our lives unconscious, on autopilot, disconnected from our version of success, the craziest thing is some of you may actually see success in your life. Like, what ends up happening is a lot of people see success, but then they end up becoming discontent in the process. Or they see success in one area of life while sacrificing another area of life in the process. Or because they're discontent, because they're disconnected, they're on autopilot, because we're unconscious and unintentional in our decisions, sometimes you don't even see success. Sometimes we run out of steam. We don't even get to where we actually want to go. But again, if success is just the compounding effect of the decisions that we make day after day, if it is just as simple as stacking up wins and doing the right thing, then again, what's missing? I think that's where connection comes in. That's where connection comes in. You see, when we are connected in our purpose to the present, every decision we make is intentional. Every moment matters. When we are connected in our purpose to the present, we can unlock our potential to create change in this world. Because what if every moment that we're disconnected is actually unconsciously giving up? I'm challenging us to be connected here. Because again, unconscious, unintentionally, we may still see success in our life, but when we are connected to what matters most to us, when we are intentional, the kind of success that you can see in your life is exponential. Again, the best of the best, they connect their purpose to the present, and that unlocks their potential to create change in this world. Now, how do I know this? Well, I've seen it in the lives and businesses of over 100 people that I've had the chance to work with over the last 4 years, where time and time again, the best of the best in any industry is constantly working on that question. They're figuring out what they want, why it's important to them, what it's going to take to get there. And then every single day, they're reconnecting to that version of success because it's that connection that drives the daily decisions that helps them get there. And we both saw this in 2008 with Michael Phelps. I remember watching as Michael Phelps won that 8th gold medal in Beijing and just being astounded, right, at how a single human being could achieve that level of success. But it's way more than just swimming laps in a pool, right, to become the most decorated Olympian of all time, right? See, for Michael, if you listen to him talk from 2004 to 2008 on his road to Beijing, he talks about how every single day he connected his purpose, his vision, to the present. And that connection drove the decisions that he made day after day to stack up the wins. He missed holidays, he missed time at home, of course, because he was in the pool, but it's so much more than that. It's rest, nutrition, recovery, mindset work. It's all these little decisions. Every decision made was connected to his purpose in the present. Because of that, he got to Beijing, unleashed his potential, brought home 8 gold medals, and became the most decorated Olympian of all time. It's a perfect example. I'm not Michael Phelps, though, so let me tell you how I messed this up. So something you may not know about me is I'm a runner. I like to run stupid, far distances. I'm one of those people, right? Crazy, I know, but bear with me. So 3 years ago, I signed up for my first 24-hour race. It's called the Lions Roar. It's in Columbia, Missouri, and it's one of my favorite races because here's how it works. From 6 p.m. on a Friday to 6 p.m. on a Saturday, you have the opportunity to run a 2.5-mile loop as many times as you want. That's it. There's no cutoffs. There's no minimums. It's whatever you want it to be. It's whatever your version of success looks like. I love it. Now, at the time I signed up, the farthest I'd ever run was 31 miles, and I knew in the right environment I was capable of more. So my goals going into this were either, no matter what, 50. If it all works out, maybe 60, and man, if the stars align, maybe I could get to 75. I wanted to see what I was capable of in the right environment. So fast forward to race day, I had this plan. I was nervous and I was excited, but I was ready. So as soon as the race began, within a couple hours, my plan completely fell apart. Because you see, it rained for 16 hours straight, and as part of that, my raincoat went over my watch. I stopped watching my watch, which meant I stopped paying attention to my pace. I started running just on how I felt. And I tell you what, I felt great at the beginning of the race. I felt so good that my ego started talking and saying, hey, buddy, how cool would it be if you ran 100 miles in your very first race like this? And I said, yeah, that would be pretty cool. So I started running faster and faster. And I kept running faster until eventually my body caught up with the fact that I had not trained to run 100 miles at that pace. I started breaking down. And instead of reconnecting to my purpose, to my goals, I chose to listen to my ego. So what happened was I would limp into the aid station. I'd drink an energy drink. I'd get fired up, run a couple laps, and then I'd start to break down. And then I'd repeat the process over and over until at the end of that very first year, I crossed the finish line with 75 miles. Success, right? But at what cost? You see, I hadn't trained for what ended up happening. And so as part of that process, I was broken. I literally couldn't walk for a couple days afterwards. I was so out of it that I had to miss work. I was unable to help my pregnant wife at home. I was unable to take care of my son. Like, it was bad. So when I signed up again, you can laugh. When I signed up again, my wife's only request was that I don't get hurt. So my second year, it looked really different. For 6 of the 8 months leading up to it, I couldn't run at all. I was injured. And so there wasn't actually a lot of activity leading up to the event, but I got super clear on exactly what my definition of success would be that year. For me, it was 3 things. Number 1, don't get injured. Number 2, though, was to help Will, Andy, and Jordan have the most transformative experience of their life because they'd never done anything like this. And then number 3, in my head, I said, if I just slow down, if I walk a lot more, if I'm more mindful of my nutrition, my rest, my recovery, my water, I think I could actually walk 80 miles. And the cool thing is that's exactly what happened. I was so connected to my version of success that even though I didn't have all this activity leading up to it, I was so clear on exactly what my version of success would be. Every single decision made in that window helped me get that exact outcome. So, again, to recap, my first year, a lot of activity, but no connection. My second year, no activity, a lot of connection. Maybe you can see where this is going. 3 weeks ago, I ran this event for the 3rd year in a row. And going into this event, it was really cool to reflect on how over the course of the last year, I was so connected to my version of success that every single day, that connection led to little daily decisions that stacked up so that going into the race, I was in the best position I'd ever been. I was very clear on success. 2 things for me. This year, number 1 was I just wanted to go faster. And number 2, I wanted to now help the 22 some odd crazy souls who'd signed up to do this with me have the most transformative experience of their life. So race day comes around, and that's exactly what happened. I did it. We did it. And that was my favorite part. Of course, I had a personal best, the 50-mile mark, 9 hours, 45 minutes. I was really proud of that. But the coolest part for me about this whole event was seeing every single one of my friends go farther than they ever had before. To see them in real time connect their purpose, their vision, their goals to the present moment. And that connection drove every single decision they made, lap by lap, mile by mile. To see some of them break through to these places they didn't even know existed. And now to be able to walk away with that potential untapped. To see some of them beat down by the grinding reality of an event like this, and then to see them rally, and to see some of them band together in community. To live this principle out time and time again was really powerful to watch. Now, I will admit, I wrote this talk about 6 weeks ago, so it really helped me with my connection, having already written this talk. Can you imagine how this talk would have gone if I had butchered the race, right? But I get it. We're not all runners. But you have your own version of this same story in your life. I know you do. A time where in your life, something mattered to you. And it mattered enough that you thought about it. Maybe not every day, but you thought about it enough that those wins started adding up. And you eventually saw it through. The proof that you're looking for is already in your life if you just choose to see it. Success does not have to be by accident. And so, guys, if you're willing to invite connection into your actions, if you're willing to invite connection into your life to see success on a scale that you've never seen before, I have 3 questions for you. 3 simple questions for you to ask yourself. And if you ask yourself these 3 questions, nothing's going to change. But if you continue to ask yourself these 3 questions over and over and over, everything can change. So these are the 3 questions. You can write them down if you want. First question, what do you want? What is your version of success? What does success actually mean to you? Not your boss's version or your spouse's version or the version that you feel like you're supposed to chase after because of your title or your role, but what does success actually look like to you? Second question, are you on track? The decisions that you're making right now, in this very moment, are they leading you one step closer to or further from your version of success? And then question 3, can we celebrate it or do we have to make a change? Guys, if you are doing the things, if you are currently living out what it means to you to be successful, smile, celebrate it, enjoy the journey because it's a journey. We're never going to get there. But if you're not, what's the one thing that you can change right now? Not the big pendulum shift, but the one thing that you can change right now to get you one step closer. Guys, this isn't an easy process, right? I have to remind myself to do this every single day. But you guys remember that moment with my son, with Jonah, right? Where he snapped me back to reality. It was that moment that had me start asking myself these 3 questions every single day. And again, it's not easy to catch yourself living out of alignment. But guys, it's so worth it. It's so worth it to live a life of intention that is exactly what you want it to be. Now, I'm proud to say, because I've been asking myself these questions, when my son Jonah asks me to play Legos, I put my phone down and I play. Because in that moment, that's what success means to me. And you wouldn't believe some of the cool things we've built since then. Thank you.